welcome to the video. If you're here and you don't know who I am, my name is Lenny Richardson. I often go by Leviticus Rich. I'm a real estate agent, real estate advisor, as I like to call myself, in Loudoun County, Virginia. That's in Northern Virginia. And I want to say thank you so much for checking out this video. I assume if you're here, you're interested in trying to better your life and in trying to get better. So this video, I'm going to call this video the foundations of the good life. So where do I begin with this? In this video, I want to sort of break down three things that I learned in college. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I learned it, what the three things are, and sort of walk through a basic process of how to achieve and accomplish the three things I lay out. So first, why did I make this video? When I was in college, actually this happened twice, but when I was in college, I got kicked out. I got kicked out twice. Why did I get kicked out? It had nothing to do at all with drugs, nothing to do with any sort of violence, no fights, nothing that people typically get kicked out of college for. In fact, I got kicked out of college due to finances. Basically, I couldn't afford to pay for college, which is why I got kicked out. I was short, I think a few $1,000s the first time around, and they kicked me out. They sent me a letter. I remember it was December, I think it was December of 2012 or 2013 maybe. I don't recall the exact year, but it was in December, and they sent a letter. I was living by myself in a dorm on campus. I had my own apartment on campus. They sent me a letter, and basically they said, you know, you owe money, you haven't paid enough money in tuition, so don't come back. They said it very nice, of course, you know, it's college, they have to present it in a certain way, but they basically said, you know, get out of here. You can't live here in this dorm because this dorm is for students, which you're no longer, so you need to leave. So I left, ended up living in an apartment, sort of off campus. At the time, I wasn't really taking classes. I was trying to get back at classes, but I went to Penn State, for those of you that are watching that do not know. It's a university in Pennsylvania. And basically, they would not let me at all take classes. So I spent a lot of time working. I worked at Walmart, worked at a movie theater, worked at a pool hall, worked at a gas station. I worked a lot of jobs. And during this time, I realized that college didn't teach me anything, really. It didn't teach me jack shit, quite frankly. There's a lot that college doesn't teach you as a student. A lot that's very beneficial. It doesn't teach you about money. It doesn't teach you about taxes. It doesn't teach you about just general self-improvement, general health. How to set goals. These things all sound very basic, but these things are all very impactful in your life. And not knowing how to do any of these things, not knowing to even think about these things, makes a huge dramatic impact in your life. It heavily impacts how your life will go. So I got kicked out, didn't really know what to do, didn't want to move home. When I moved out, I sort of made a pact with myself that I would not move out whatsoever, I would not move back home no matter what. There was something about the independence. I wanted independence my entire life. And then when I turned 17, I was a freshman. I was like, I'm never going back home. I'm sure a lot of you watching this probably can relate to that. So didn't move back, got an apartment. It was good and bad. I won't go through all the bads in this video. I'll save that for a future video, or if you reach out to me, I'll tell you more about that. But a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of experiences, a lot of lessons. So to kind of get to the good life sort of subject of this video, when I was sort of working, basically I didn't have any money. I needed money. I had no money whatsoever. I was sort of living that broke college kid lifestyle, except I discovered that in college, when you're working part-time, and if you get loan money and if your parents paying for stuff, it's actually not that bad. You actually have plenty of money. You just spend it terribly. It was when I got kicked out and when I had to actually fend for myself, so to speak, because my parents weren't paying for anything at all. They weren't really paying. My mom sort of kind of helped for rent initially, and she kind of stopped, which is no fault of her own. It was all for, it's what it is. But I basically paid for everything myself, and I had no money. I worked at a gas station, movie theater, as I mentioned. None of those things pay you any money at all. You get, like, I think my starting paycheck was like $7 an hour at the gas station. I think at Walmart, I made like $11 an hour, but that's because I did like produce and I did like a bunch of other stuff too. So they gave me a raise upon hiring me, and it was like $11 an hour instead of like $9 or $10, which is like the standard. So basically I got nothing, jack shit. It's not a lot of money at all, especially when you have rent to pay and bills to pay and other stuff like that. So I would go to the library often, and my main goal was, how can I make more money? How can I make more money today? How can I make more money immediately? And you really start to think about how difficult life is and how much, money you need to survive. And then you sort of, at least for me, I started thinking about the future and thinking, man, if it's this difficult in college, what's it going to be like in the future? What is it going to be like if I have a kid, if I have a family, if I have a house, when I'm outside of this college town where things are far more expensive? And you also start to look around and you become more, at least this happened to me, you become more aware of the people around you. You listen more to older people. You listen more to people who graduated college, your friends' siblings, your friends' parents, things of that nature. And they begin to tell you how difficult college is, and you sort of pick up on it. I think these people already somewhat tell you about the difficulties of life after college, but I think when you're in college, you kind of think you know everything. You don't really have too many experiences to, filter the information through and to sort of, think about the information that critically. So you ignore it, which is what I did initially until I got kicked out. And then I had no choice but to listen because I wanted to get from where I was to a better place. But I would take all that information in. I would go to the library a lot. I don't know exactly why I'd go to the library. I really wish I knew exactly what made me go. I think I just wanted answers. And at the time, the best solution I can come up with to get answers was to go to the library and get books. So that's what I did. And I started with a lot of finance books. I just wanted to read about money. I was like, how do I make money? How do I make money now? I did learn a lot about money in doing that. One thing led to another, and I also started learning about philosophy. And philosophy is interesting because no one really teaches philosophy unless you take philosophy courses in college or maybe even in high school. My personal opinion, everyone should learn philosophy. Every university should teach philosophy. It should be mandatory to learn philosophy. I think kids should learn philosophy. I think all schools in general should make it mandatory to teach philosophy. And the reason why I say this is because by default, when you start to learn about philosophy, you learn to question reality. You learn to question the world around you. You learn to question why things happen the way they happen. And it makes you think deeply, critically. And that's what I did. And eventually I came upon this book, or a series of books, and they talked about Socrates, they talked about Plato, they talked about Aristotle. And I believe it was Socrates in particular. Some of his students sort of took what he taught because he never actually wrote anything. So this is what the books claim. But his students took what he taught and they would sort of build upon it. A lot of the old philosophers, I believe starting with Socrates, had this sort of concept known as eudaimonia. And so I'm looping back around to the original purpose of this video. Eudaimonia was known as flourishing or fulfillment. And in some translations, it's known as the good life. And so basically Socrates had this idea that if you were to follow these specific steps, you will have the good life. Now, it's interesting because from the time I was out of college, then back into college, then back out of college, then back into college, graduated into now, I have found all of his lessons to be very true. And I've also found that virtually no one follows them. I shouldn't say virtually no one. A select handful of people follow them, and they seem to be living the best possible life. Most people do not follow them, or they half-ass some parts of it, or they follow one but not the other two that I'm going to mention. If you don't do all three, I think objectively you cannot have a good life. You cannot have the good life, I'll call it. You cannot achieve eudaimonia. So in this video, I sort of want to go into eudaimonia. I want to go into the good life. I want to talk more about what the three pillars of the good life, as I call them, are, and exactly how to get them. I do want to preface everything. While I do think there's an objective reality of what the good life is. I also want to say that to some extent there is a lot of subjectivity when it comes to the good life. It's sort of like the idea of success. You might hear some people say, well, to be successful means I have $1 million in the bank. Fair enough. If that's your idea of success, then that's your idea of success. Go get it. Some people might say, well, my idea of success is just having, maybe I don't need 6 figures. 50K is good. But what I do want is a deep, loving relationship with a wife and kids. And I want a nice house and a nice family, sort of the traditional American lifestyle. Fair enough. If that's your idea of success, that is your idea of success. I do think that the good life sort of has a similar framework built into it where it's not so concrete that there's one specific standard that everyone needs to abide by, if that makes sense. However, I do think that there are some objective truths to the 3 pillars that I will mention that are part of the I do think there are some objective truths that come once you begin to follow all 3 of the pillars of the good life, which I'll get into. For example, if you don't follow one, but you follow the other 2, there are some issues that can come up. And the reason for this is because the 3 pillars overlap each other. They all work together. They all sort of require a bit of balance in order to give you that best possible life. So, what exactly are the 3 pillars of the good life? The 3 pillars of the good life: health, wealth, relationships. Those are the 3 pillars. You need to be healthy, you need to be financially fit, you need to have wealth, and you need to have quality relationships. By achieving all 3 of those things, you have, and this is a sort of 4th step that I'm going to throw in there. When you achieve all 3 of those things, you get happiness. And then when you get happiness, you get fulfillment, which is eudaimonia. That's flourishing, that's fulfillment. And I'm going to talk more about happiness because happiness is a weird word. And I think the idea of happiness in the modern day has been sort of tarnished. It's sort of perverted a little bit, but I'll get into that later. So, step 1, health. Why do you need health? How does health play an impact on your life? I think, to me, health is pretty obvious. Whenever I talk to people and they say, if I'm tackling the 3 pillars of the good life, what do I start with? I always suggest start with health. 1, if you don't have health, you're not alive. If you're not healthy, if you're dying, you can't do anything else. Money doesn't matter when you're dying. I think it was Steve Jobs. He talked about, Steve Jobs had cancer, if I recall correctly. And he did this huge speech. And he essentially said, I have $1 billion and I'm dying of cancer. And it doesn't matter how much money I have, I can't come back from the grave. It does me no good to be the richest man in the graveyard. So all my money, all my billions of dollars, they mean nothing if I'm not alive to use them. I think far too many people focus on money all the time. Far too few people focus on their health. And it blows my mind. Currently as I'm recording this video, the Western world is just obese and unhealthy. I believe America is one of the most obese countries in the entire planet, which is sad, considering we're one of the richest and wealthiest countries, if not the richest, and if not the wealthiest country in the entire planet. The fact that we have so many people in this country that are very unhealthy, it just blows my mind. And the reason why it blows my mind is because it's so simple to be healthy. It's not that complicated. I say to people sometimes, you do realize that if you're not healthy, you'll fucking die. Like, your health is correlated to how long you'll be alive. We recently had, I'm sure you've heard of this. We had this virus, the coronavirus. A lot of people were unhealthy. I know that what I'm going to say is probably going to be controversial. In my opinion, a big part of why people did die, a big part of why people were affected so critically is because they weren't healthy. It's because they weren't storing up health points. They weren't doing what they should have been doing for their body to be healthy. This is just natural. This is normal. This is how humans are. If you're not healthy, you're going to die. You're going to die anyway, but you'll die sooner by not being healthy. So why die sooner when you can die later? Why make life more difficult? Sometimes I see people who are obese. And for the record, I'm not making fun of anybody. I don't want to say I'm criticizing them negatively or I'm trying to, make them feel bad. That's not my objective. Everyone's free to live their lives the way they choose. I'm just pointing out the logic and, whether or not it makes sense at all. Sometimes I see people who are obese and they can barely walk. If any situation were to occur in which they needed to fend for their lives or in which they needed to avoid danger, they can't run. They're physically incapable of surviving in a world outside of America, a world in which basically everyone's safe, everything's done for you. There's no real danger. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to negatively criticize, but I am being realistic. It's not good. It's not healthy. It makes the ability to survive much more difficult than it really needs to be. So health is critical. Health should be your number one priority out of the 3 pillars that I'm going over. Health is extremely important. And the thing about health is, like I said, it's not complicated. It doesn't require that much work. The basic components of health, calories in versus calories out. Don't eat too much. Not that complicated. Not that complicated at all. If someone were to say to me today, Lenny, how do I lose weight? You don't need a personal trainer. I'm not saying don't get a personal trainer. Personal trainers are great. I personally want a personal trainer because I think even though I've been working out for quite a long time, there are just some things a qualified trainer can go over that I'll miss, or it helps to have that motivation, helps to have that accountability. With that being said, it's not that complicated. Don't eat sugary drinks, or I'm sorry, don't drink sugary drinks, don't eat sugary foods, don't eat too many calories, avoid processed foods. You do those basic things, you're essentially set. Don't overeat. Those are the basic things. Like, it's not super complicated. It's calories in versus calories out. And then the second part, what you put into your body is extremely vital. Don't eat shit. Like, and I say in the real world, there's balance. Me personally, I love a good McDonald's burger. I don't know why. I think it's because they put crap in it that makes it addictive. I love McDonald's. I don't eat it every day. I eat it every once in a while. I eat it when I'm in a rush. I eat it when I want to spend money on something cheap with a lot of calories. I don't eat it for every single meal because I understand how unhealthy it is. And I'm thinking about the calories in versus calories out that I just mentioned. So step number 1, health is important. Calories in versus calories out. Work out. So many people, I'll say work out, and they'll say, I don't have a gym, I don't have access, I can't afford it. All of those things are completely true. All of those things don't even matter. 1, you can't afford a gym. Gyms are not that expensive. Planet Fitness is like $10 a month. You can afford $10 a month. You can afford Netflix. You can afford Hulu. You can afford to go to the movie theaters. You can afford to go out to party. You can afford to go to Planet Fitness for $10 a month. Oh, there's no gym near me that's that cheap. I don't have a Planet Fitness near me. No problem at all. What you do, you get on the ground, you do push-ups. 20 push-ups here, 20 push-ups there, some sit-ups, some crunches. You find some door rack, you do pull-ups. Playgrounds are abundant, playgrounds everywhere. You do pull-ups on the monkey bars. There's no excuse to not be healthy. There's no excuse to not be in good shape. First step, get in good health. And I say this for a few reasons. 1, it builds confidence. When I was in college, I had a huge issue with confidence, early on at least. Towards the end, I sort of started working out. A lot of the confidence issues started to go away. But early on, I had a huge issue with confidence. I just didn't feel, especially as a guy, I didn't feel manly. I didn't feel like I was competent or capable. You work out enough, you will feel confident, you will feel capable. And I think the reason why, I think a lot of confidence, 1, it is built through competence. So as you get better at things, as you understand things more, you sort of build your self-esteem up. And once you realize that you can accomplish certain things, you will build confidence that way. I think part of it is just keeping promises with yourself. So to exercise consistently is you making a promise to yourself and keeping it. If I say to you right now, here's a challenge, 5 days a week, do 100 push-ups. That is all you have to do. I'm going to give you that challenge right here and right now. For the rest of the week, every single day, do 100 push-ups. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how tired you are. Do 100. Now, if that means that you have to do 10 push-ups every hour for 5 hours, do it. It's not that complicated. It's not that difficult. You won't die. You might be sore, but you can get it done. You can get it done. 24 hours in a day to do 100 push-ups, that's a lot of time. When you do that, you'll build a lot of confidence because you're basically making a promise to yourself. I will do X. And then when you do it, your brain is sort of like, okay. Your brain is like, okay, he did exactly what he said he'd do. He did exactly what he said he'd do. He made a promise. He kept the promise. That is what will build your confidence up. So, like I said, health is important. And by the way, if you're watching this, for each of these pillars, you are free to reach out to me. Shoot me a call. shoot me a text, reach out to me on Instagram. I will help you with each of these things. I will sit down with you and help you figure out exactly what you can be doing to build yourself up in each of these pillars. So that's pillar number one, health. It's completely vital to maximizing basically your life as a whole. If you don't have your health together, the other two pillars do not matter nearly as much. I'm not saying they don't matter if your health isn't good, but I'm saying if your health is on point, the other two pillars, you'll maximize those out to their fullest. Pillar number two. Pillar number two is always, as far as which is more important, it's a little bit tough. Internally, I've debated between the two, which one's more important, which one's less important. I'm going to say, I think as far as importance is concerned, pillar number two, I'm going to say from the order of most important to least important, relationships I think are a bit more important than the third pillar. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. The third pillar is money, wealth, as I mentioned earlier. Now, why would I say that relationships are more important than money? A lot of people might think, well, I need money to do A, B, and C. I need money. Money is the most important thing out there. If I don't have money, if I don't have capital, I can't do anything. I can't make more money unless I have money. I can't be healthy if I don't have money. I would argue that none of these things are true. Money, I think, makes things easier, but it doesn't make it impossible, and it doesn't restrict access. It just makes the ability to find access a little bit more difficult, or it might require you to be a little bit more creative. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, why do I put relationships above money? I've discovered that your network, and this is very cliche. I'm sure if you've been on Instagram, if you've seen any influencers that are in the finance space or the entrepreneur space, you've heard this saying before. You are the average of the 5 people you're around most often. I'm sure you've heard that, or at least a version of that. And I'm sure you may have also heard your network is your net worth. When I was in college, I did not think about these things that much. I did not find these things to be super true. And it's not that they weren't true. It's just that I didn't really process it that much. I didn't really listen. When I graduated from college, when I started being in real estate, when I started trying to do deals, when I started trying to start my own businesses, because I tried on multiple occasions to do different businesses, I found that that's absolutely true. And even as I observe other people, because I think you don't have to learn from personal experience. You can learn from other people and their experiences. I found that to be absolutely true. If you go on any single podcast, for example, you listen to Joe Rogan, what is his show? His show is him talking to other people. He's building his influence by networking with other people. He brings on other guests. They share their knowledge. He's a broker of knowledge. They share it with their audiences. His net worth increases. His network is his net worth. And I don't think it's coincidental that Joe Rogan also has a ton of episodes. He has like thousands of episodes, or at least hundreds. There's no coincidence that he's one of the most popular podcasters out there right now with such a huge library of videos. His network is his net worth. I can go deep into all of the different things that network can impact. I will say some of the few that just kind of come to mind. Jobs. A lot of people, when they graduate from college, of course, you're looking for a good job. I believe 75% or 80% of long-term satisfactory careers are obtained through network, not through degree, not through resume building, or not through submitting your resume, not from any of these online websites. It's from network. It's you knowing somebody who is in the company who says, hey, come work for us. They put in a good word to their boss. The boss says, you know him. Personal referrals are always ranked higher than a cold reading. You know him, you like him, I like you, fair enough, he's in. That's how the world works. That's how humans are. This is how we all connect. Quick little story, actually. An old friend of mine, he graduated from college, and he graduated as an engineer. Fun fact, 2 of my old roommates are engineers. They both, or actually 3. They all work at the exact same company. They met, so my one friend who is an engineer, he met me. I introduced him to my 3 roommates, and they were like, oh, you're an engineer? There's space at the company that we work at. We can put in a good word. We're friendly with the manager and the boss. We can put in a good word and see if he can let you in. He did that. They put in a good word. He currently works for them. I think he also had a father that worked at the company at one point, which certainly helps a lot. But the point I'm trying to make with that anecdote, the barrier to entry was essentially zero because he knew people that worked at the company. Now imagine if he didn't know anyone at the company. Imagine if he just tried to submit a resume. He's effectively competing against 10, 20, 50, hundreds of resumes trying to get his foot in the door and to stand out the most in order to get that job. Sure, he could have the most impressive resume. He could have the most impressive GPA. He could be the most impressive person that applied. But there's so many different factors that could have prevented him from being in. Even if he were objectively the best possible candidate, he bypassed all of that by simply just knowing the right people. So that's sort of just an example of how powerful your network can be. Another example for people who don't care as much about the educational or even the career-oriented examples. When I was in college, a lot of my friends graduated before me. As I told you earlier in the video, I was kicked out twice. So needless to say, a lot of people graduated long before I did. And at one point, I'm not gonna say I didn't have any friends, but all my main core group of friends left. They all went off, they graduated, they got jobs, and I was sort of at Penn State by myself. At the time, my social skills weren't that great, so I spent a lot of time trying to practice social skills, trying to practice speaking. I'm on camera right now talking. This video, I don't know how long this video will be. It'll probably be about 30-something minutes, 40 minutes. I could never do this in college. Public speaking, I was terrified. I stuttered a lot. I couldn't speak for more than a minute. Speaking on camera is actually very difficult for a lot of people that aren't aware. You see a lot of YouTubers do it. It's actually quite difficult to sort of just speak and to not have a script. Right now, you can't see the full room. There's no script. There's nothing around me at all that I'm reading. This is off the riff. This is just purely improvisational. Took a lot of practice for me to do this. Back in the day, I would go out. I would try to meet people randomly. I would try to spark up conversations. I would go out to bars. And eventually, you meet managers. You meet bartenders. You meet door guys. So one thing that will often happen is I would go out to a bar. It's actually funny. One bar in particular I would go to, I knew the manager pretty well, and he would see me come in. I used to always drink cranberry vodka every single time. I don't know why. That was just like my go-to drink. I would come in. He would just put the drink on the table. I got you, man. Cranberry vodka on the house. It was awesome. Network. Because I knew him, I was able to get a free drink. I was able to have a drink just presented to me upon entering the bar. So many times in college, I knew people. I was able to bypass lines. I was able to just get in. You meet other people because you know one person who is higher up. He's a bartender and he's cool, so everyone thinks you're cool because you know him. Network is super powerful. One more example. If you're a female watching this, you might not care about this too much. If you're a guy watching this, you might care about this a lot. One reason I have found in the past that a lot of guys try to make money, and a lot of people rank money high, as I had mentioned, but for guys in particular, a lot of guys will rank money very high because they sort of have this idea that if I get money, I get girls. And I'm not saying that's not true. I think to a good extent that is true, depending on how you use the money and how, you present yourself with money. But one thing I learned is that you don't need money to gain access. You need people to gain access. Money can help you get access, but people can also get you access, as I mentioned when I would cut lines at bars and stuff like that. So a good example that's kind of specific to guys, I've heard this before, and it's actually funny. A lot of dudes will go to clubs and bars, guys with money, and they'll buy a bottle service, and they'll sort of say, I got this bottle service. Oh, girls, come over here, come drink our drinks or whatever. They'll do that. They have access to the females. The issue is the females don't like them for them. They like them for the entertainment and the drinks. If you knew, say you have no money and you know the guys who are dropping money on the bottles, if you're cool with them, guess what? They'll let you in. So now, without any money at all, you've gained access to the liquor, to the fun, the entertainment, and most of all, if you're a guy, this probably means a lot to you, to the girls. How much did you spend on all that? Zero. You spent zero. The only thing you needed was to know the people. Your network was all that mattered. Again, in this case, your network is your net worth. You didn't have to spend money. Now, effectively speaking, being in that establishment, getting access to those drinks, getting access to maybe the VIP, could have cost you random number, $500, $1,000, $10,000, whatever. effectively speaking, you gained 10,000 bucks, you gained 500 bucks, you gained however much it would have cost because you knew those people. So that's sort of the power of network. I just want to make that point clear to you, that the reason why I rank relationships as number 2 rather than money is because good relationships can get you into a lot of doors that money might not be able to get you into. Or if it does, the downside is you have to actually spend money. Relationships, you don't have to spend anything. You just know people. It's recurring. It's always valuable. It doesn't run out unless you destroy the relationship somehow. It's always valuable. Now, one thing about the second pillar, relationships, that I think a lot of people focus heavily on. A lot of people focus a lot on sexual relationships, and I think this is a poor decision. It's poor for a lot of reasons. I think one of the main things, you can waste a lot of time with a bad partner, and I've come to find out that who your partner is extremely important in the long run. I think a lot of people tackle relationships with emotion, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't know the exact balance as far as the perfect ratio of emotion versus logic, but at the very least, I would say 50-50, 50% emotion, 50% logic. I would even go to argue that it should be maybe 80% emotion, 80% logic, 20% emotion. And the reason why I say this is because some people tackle it with emotion and they go, I feel like I shouldn't do this. This person is a dork. This boyfriend I have, he's a loser. I've actually had female friends who do not like their boyfriends, but they're afraid to leave him, even though they have no plans on marrying him, because they don't want to make him feel bad, which is noble, but it's dumb because you're wasting time. If you don't like him, if you don't want to be with him, why stick around? Same thing for guys. I know plenty of guys who are with just toxic girls who offer no value. They're not special. They're not intelligent. They're not bright. They don't contribute. They don't support him at all. He stays with her because she's kind of hot, or she's the best that he can do. He doesn't want to be alone. He's insecure. It's a waste of time. Don't do it. So I think there's this weird balance in relationships when it comes to sexual relationships where the partner can either devastate your life or they can make your life exponentially better. And I think you have to really be able to discern between the two. I personally don't think people should focus too heavily on sexual relationships in the long run of life. I think there are some situations in which you can find a partner that will just make your life exponentially better off the rip. I don't think for most people that's the case. I think you're far better off pursuing general relationships of value, general relationships that involve deep connections. I think you're far better off going that route than just constantly searching for and focusing on sexual relationships, if that makes sense at all. I'm not saying don't have them. I'm just saying I see a lot of people who get into a relationship with a partner. It's a guy who gets a girlfriend, or a girlfriend who gets a boyfriend, or they're homosexual couple, same sex, whatever. And the core of their life is their partner. They don't go out. They don't associate with other people. They don't do anything. And they continue that pattern for years. That's a mistake. That is a huge mistake. And the reason why that's a mistake is because over time, if you exclude people, you're going to find it much more difficult to connect with people. Quick story. I had a buddy in college who sort of went down that route. He had a partner, a female partner, and she just became the core of his life. He basically abandoned all of us. And I'm not saying he was mean about it, but we invite him to hang out, he wouldn't hang out. We'd invite him to events, he wouldn't go to the events. We'd say, oh, come hang out, let's do this, A, B, and C. He wouldn't do it. He was too busy all the time with his girlfriend. And that's fine to be, with your girlfriend sometimes, or with your boyfriend sometimes. It's fine to do it a lot of the time. I don't think it's fine to do it all the time. Like I said, you start to exclude friends, and some friends might come back. I found that the lower quality of friend you have, the more likely they are to come back, because they don't really have options. When you have high quality friends who have things going on, when they're ambitious, when they're, when they have a lot on their plate, it's just what I found. They don't have time to come back for you. If you lose them, they're harder to get back. Does that make sense? The more valuable the person is, the harder it is to get them back. The harder it is to find someone to replace them. It's scarcity. That's why they're valuable, because the traits that make them valuable are hard to find. It's scarcity. So he basically did that. He sort of abandoned all of us to hang with his girlfriend. Eventually, she cheated on him, and he found out. and he tried to come back. And he was very upset when he found out that none of us wanted to hang out with him anymore at all. Why? Because whenever we invited him out to stuff, he said no. So it established a pattern. We want him to hang out. He says no. I'm going to stop asking him to hang out. He clearly does not want to hang out with us. That's what we did. So we stopped hanging out with him. I haven't talked to him in years. You know, I'm not laughing at the whole situation. It's bad. But the point I'm making is that people don't just stick around indefinitely. You can't really, you need to build relationships, and you need to sort of cultivate the relationship. It's like anything else. You need to build it up and you need to look after it. You need to it's like farming almost. You need to watch the dirt. You need to make sure the plants are growing accordingly. You need to monitor them. You need to feed them. You need to water them. You need to take care of the relationship, much like you take care of like a plant. So I just don't think you should focus heavily on sexual relationships too much. Third pillar, now that we talked about the first two, health, relationships. The third pillar is money. You need money. A lot of people in the modern day, it's so weird to me. They're sort of like, oh, this person's rich, this person is taking from other people, or, you know, they're not doing their fair share. They're not giving back to the community. Jeff Bezos isn't paying taxes. To me, it's fucking dumb. It's bullshit. And I'm not saying that every person, obviously there are some people who are rich that are scumbags who just don't deserve it. That's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that money is extremely important for a lot of reasons. Like I mentioned, when I was in college, I didn't have a lot of money. And not having money made my life significantly more difficult. There was one point where I had an apartment, actually a few times. One point in particular, I had an apartment and I thought the rent was being paid, and it wasn't being paid. At least my end of it wasn't being paid. And so there's this huge issue where the property management company wanted to put us in collections, and they wanted to take the money, and they wanted to take us to court to get the money. Just a huge ordeal. I was in debt for like a long time in college, just trying to, it was just a huge, huge disaster. In debt, trying to pay things back. I had people threatening me, people trying to sue me. I remember the entire time, it was super stressful. And the one thing I thought was, if I had a lot of money, none of this would be a problem. If I owe, say, $2,000, and some lawyer is reaching out saying like, oh, we're going to sue you for $2,000. If I had $2,000, this would all just go away. I would just pay the money, and the lawyer could fuck off. The people suing me could fuck off. The property management company could fuck off. They can all fuck off. Money solves a lot of problems. When people sit around and say, don't make money, it's immoral, they're fucking liars. Don't listen to them. They're bullshit. I know I'm being a little bit harsh right now, but that's the reality of it, because I hear so many people say that, and to me it's such a damaging sentiment. It doesn't make sense. It harms more people than anything else. I will say, before I get on too much of a rant, I will say, I found it interesting in the past. A lot of people I know dislike Jeff Bezos. They dislike billionaires. And the reason why is because, at least what they claim, at least what I'm hearing the most from them, is that these billionaires don't give back to the community. They don't redistribute their wealth, which to me doesn't make sense. Whenever I hear people say that, to me that means they don't understand economics. My challenge to these people, and I've yet to find anyone who's been even willing to try this, you be a billionaire. If none of the billionaires distribute their wealth, you be the first billionaire out there to distribute your wealth. You make $1 billion and you give it back to everyone else. There's a few reasons why I think people won't do that. One, I think deep down people know it's hard. Two, deep down I think people understand that if I make money, there's no way in hell I'm just going to give it away to people. The same people who say redistribute your wealth, I've challenged them and said, listen, America is probably one of the wealthiest countries on the planet, if not the wealthiest country on the planet. How much money do you give to people in Africa or India or any third world country ever? None. Okay, so why don't you redistribute your wealth? Because effectively, relatively speaking, you're a billionaire compared to them. Why would I do that? It's not my fault they're in this situation. Okay, it's not Jeff Bezos' fault. It's not Mark Zuckerberg's fault. It's not Elon Musk's fault that you don't have any money. So what's the difference? Oh, well, they should redistribute it because there's a lot of homeless people. There's homeless people in those countries too. What's the difference? I don't truly understand it. You take your money, you give it back. $1 that you give away could be effectively like $50,000 for another country. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying the purchasing power could be immense. It doesn't require much on your end. You just have to give it away, but you're not willing to, because you are, and deep down you feel like you've earned your money. So there's no way in hell you're just going to give it away for nothing. That's how people operate. So don't listen to people who say things like that. Don't listen to people who sort of shun you away from trying to make money. It's stupid. I think it's just unhealthy. It's unproductive. You benefit far more from making money. And I truly say that, like, as I say that, I truly want people to understand that the amount of things you can fix with money is insane. I know, like Bill Gates, for example, billionaire, I'm sure you've heard of him, has the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. To my knowledge, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has cured the most diseases out of any foundation in history. In history. There's a good documentary on Netflix, at least at the time of me shooting this, it's on Netflix. I'm not sure if it'll be on Netflix by the time this video is out, or at least by the time you watch this. But he went to Africa and he organized this huge, not foundation, but project to install plumbing in Africa, because he sort of said that because of the way Africa is set up, or at least this specific area in Africa, I forget exactly where it is in Africa, because of the way it's set up, it's so difficult to have good irrigation systems and good plumbing, and it's just a huge mess. Not Africa per se, because it's Africa, but just because of the way the ground is, because of the way the whole structure of this specific area in Africa is, this specific village. He said it's so difficult to install plumbing the way it is in America, because when they built the city, they didn't build the city with the intent to make plumbing in this manner. So you have to sort of reverse engineer the process. It's just so complicated. So you can only do that by being a billionaire. Elon Musk, he wants to go to Mars. He's claiming that a lot of the resources on the planet Earth are limited, which is true. He's thinking very far ahead into the future. He's thinking, let's go to a different planet just in case something happens to our planet. Good logic, fair enough. He's building rockets to take us to a new planet. I'm sure if Elon Musk gets to Mars in his lifetime, he'll go further. He'll try to go further. That's not cheap. Most people cannot afford to do that. So it's not like he's taking billions and helping no one. He's helping everyone. Both, Bill Gates as well. He's not helping the people in America that are living comfortably. He could be, but it seems like a lot of his efforts are helping people who were born into a situation that they had no control over, and that they can, within the most reason, not escape from, if that makes sense at all. So, Pillar 3, wealth. Don't listen to anyone when they say that wealth isn't important. Don't listen to anyone when they say that money is not important, or that it's selfish to make money. It's not true. There's no, as Elon Musk puts it, there's no cornucopia of money that you can pull from that means that someone else can't have access to it. Money is infinite. I'm not going to get into a huge history lesson on money or anything like that. I will say that one thing that you should kind of understand about money, it's effectively imaginary. It doesn't truly exist. It's just numbers on a screen. There's no limited amount of money. Don't think of it like it's a finite amount in a bank or like in Fort Knox. That doesn't exist. A lot of different reasons why that's not the case anymore. It may have been the case in the past. It's not anymore. So don't think of it that way. Get that mentality out of your head. It doesn't exist. Money is infinite. Money is infinite. Money is infinite. You can have some. I can have some. Everyone can have some. Everyone can be wealthy. Everyone can be effectively rich. So I just want to get that out of the way. Pillar 3, pursue wealth. It's extremely important. It's important for you. It's important for your family. It's important for your friends, your peers. Everyone benefits when you have money that you're willing to share with other people. One thing I sort of learned as I got out of college and as I started to work, for those of you that do not know, graduating college was very brutal. Recently, life for me has been a lot better. I have a lot less stress. Yeah, I'm not rich, but I'm trending upwards. There's a lot of goals I have that I'm definitely going to accomplish. So I'm satisfied. But it wasn't that way the entire time. When I graduated from college, I had so much debt. And I'm not going to get too deep into college and the scam that is college in the modern day, at least. But there was so much debt that I had. And the crazy thing about when you have so much debt is that if you don't pay it off quickly enough, if you don't pay enough of it off quickly enough, or if you don't pay it all quickly enough, these people call you and they harass you all day and all night, at least to a certain time of day. And they demand you pay them. That's basically what they do. It's just collections. They call, these companies call, and they're just like, hey, you owe us money. Hey, you owe us money. Give us money. Give us money. All day in the most inconvenient times. It actually becomes quite terrifying because you open your phone and you're like, damn, are they going to call again? So it's not fun. You want to get a handle on money. It's devastating. It's stressful not to have it. When I graduated, my degree did jack shit for me completely, which is, I'm not going to get too deep into college. I worked initially at a store called Brooks Brothers. I sold suits. It was not commission based. It used to be commission based. It's no longer anymore at the time of me doing this video. I think when I first started there, I was making $12 an hour, so about $24,000 a year. And people hear that and they think, oh, well, $12,000 or $24,000 a year. It's not terrible if you have roommates. No, you don't understand. Retail is very different because you don't actually make $24,000 a year. Because the interesting about retail is that they don't give you 40 hours a week, which is sort of the amount of time required to get that 24,000. They might give you 18 hours a week. They might give you 25. They might give you 39. Sometimes they give you 8 hours a week. It all depends. And whatever you work is what you get. And the taxes come out of it. So there were many weeks where I only made like $300 or $500 or $900 like for the month. Like, I'm not even joking. It was terrible. It was brutal. And then I had rent to pay and I owed this. It was brutal. It was very tough. So I'm very happy to say that now I've kind of gotten out of that. And I'm not in as bad of a situation as I was. I'm not super stressed out most of the time financially. I'm usually pretty happy. It's not worth bragging about. I'm not saying it to brag. It's not worth bragging about. I don't think I've accomplished nearly as much as I can or reached my potential by any means. But I will say again, money changes things a lot. Not having money is devastating. Having plenty of money is super relaxing. It relieves a lot of stress. Most of the stress you'll have in life, in my opinion, comes from money in some way, shape, or form. I truly believe that most problems in life on a personal level can be solved with money. I truly, truly mean that. You don't have a girlfriend? Hire a dating coach. You're not in shape? Hire a personal trainer. Most of these problems can be solved with money. You have a decent amount of money, but you want more money? Hire a real estate advisor, hire an investor, hire a financial broker, hire someone in the finance industry that can help you with money. Money changes a lot of stuff. It helps you out immensely. That third pillar is massive, but it's not the main thing. But without that third pillar, the other two pillars are, like I said, all these pillars work together. It's all balanced. If one pillar is out of whack, the other pillars fall apart. So when it comes to money, I'm not saying this is true for everyone. I'm saying this is true for me. I do think to an extent everyone should try to do this. You want to detach the amount of time you work to the amount of money you earn. Are you understanding that? Does that make sense to you? So for example, when I worked at Brooks Brothers, I had to work, my money was based on the amount of time I worked. If I didn't work 40 hours a week, I didn't get a good paycheck, or at least a decent paycheck based on the wage. I didn't get that full paycheck that I would get to make $24,000 a year. I got a lot less, and that really fucks up your life when you want to have a certain amount of money and when you expect to get a certain amount and you can't get it. My issue is that I'm trading time for money. You see a lot of people, I remember when I worked at the Brooks Brothers, a lot of people had 2 jobs. I had 2 jobs at one point. I also worked at American Eagle. And I did some other stuff too. But I also worked at American Eagle at one point while working at Brooks Brothers. It's super stressful, super exhausting, and you still don't make a lot of money. And the problem is that because you're working 2 jobs or more jobs, productivity in both jobs decreases because you're so exhausted all the time. You want to detach yourself from fixing time to money. You want to find a way to make money without having to spend time in it. I'm biased. This wealth section might be a little bit longer because wealth to me is so important, and a lot of people just don't understand much about wealth and finances and making money. And I'm not saying that I'm a guru. I'm not an expert. Like I said, I'm not rich, but I think I can offer some perspectives that I think might help the common person that might be watching this. Real estate's powerful. Real estate's powerful. The most millionaires throughout history made their millions through real estate. Understand that. The reason is you want to find industries that are never going to fail. Food industry, everyone needs to eat. Clothing, everyone needs clothing. Now, everyone doesn't need fashionable designer clothing, but everyone needs clothing. Everyone needs a place to stay. Everyone needs a place to live. Real estate, shelter. And that's basically it. Entertainment, you don't need entertainment. I think entertainment's an industry you could do well in. I guess to some extent you do need entertainment to live an interesting life, but you don't really need it. I would say focus on industries where there's an absolute need. If you've ever seen, there's a chart called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's sort of a triangle or a pyramid of sorts. And he says what humans all require. At the very bottom, it's just basic stuff: food, shelter, clothing, water. You just need basic survival. As you move up, I think it's like entertainment and sort of pleasurable items, hedonistic items. And then as you get to the very top, bottom pillar as well, love is a big one. Love's a big one. Porn is an industry that'll never go away. I'm not gonna say it'll always exist the way it is now, as like Pornhub.com or technology. I am saying that to some extent, porn will always be around, whether it's in magazine, printed form, whether it's digital, whether they find some other way in the future, 4D or something crazy, or VR or AR, it'll exist in some way, shape, or form. Sex, shelter, food, all these things are endless industries. They'll never die. So find some way to get in one of those industries. Me personally, I think real estate's huge. The most millionaires, as I've mentioned, have been created through real estate. It's difficult to get into. I'm not going to get into the process of getting into real estate. If you want to learn more, message me, DM me, email me. I'll help you with that. But I will say, find a vehicle to make money, not relative to the amount of time you work. Real estate's great for it. You get a lot of passive income. Some people do e-commerce stores. At one point, I owned a online fitness apparel store. It was fantastic. It wasn't very difficult. You set up a website. I did drop shipping for those. If you're wondering what the model I used was, it was drop shipping. So if you're unfamiliar, drop shipping essentially, you have wholesalers. You have people who basically own bulk clothing. You make a deal with them that you publish their clothing on your store, and it's digital, so it's just a link. People buy that item through your store. You deliver the item from the warehouse. You get commission. That's essentially what it is. So you're the middleman, basically. Good example would be, say for example, I have a website and I sell clothing that exists at, let's just say, American Eagle. You see an American Eagle pair of sweatpants on my store that you like. I contact American Eagle. I have American Eagle ship that piece of clothing from them to you directly. I'm the middleman. Say it costs them $20 to make the item. On my website, I have it listed for $50. You pay $50. It costs them $25. They send it out. I make $25. That's the gist of that model. I had that. It was pretty nice because a lot of times I'd wake up in the morning. I had a link to my PayPal account, and it would say, "Oh, you made like $100 overnight." It's pretty sweet. I didn't have to do that much work. I made money effectively while I slept. Now, of course, no income that is passive income is truly passive because there's always some front. For the most part, there's always money on the front end that you have to. There's always some effort or some money on the front end that you have to invest. You're investing time, you're investing money, or you're investing effort in some way, shape, or form on the front end for anything to be passive. Same is true with real estate. Same is true with an e-commerce store. Same is true with everything, to my knowledge. There's very few things I can think of that are truly passive where you just push a button and it makes money on repeat. If you ever hear of those things, they're probably a scam. So stay away from those things. Even if it does work for a little bit, it probably won't work a lot. Even things like OnlyFans, I know a lot of girls make a lot of money on OnlyFans. It still requires you trading time for money effectively. Now you get a lot more money, the margins are a lot bigger, but you're still trading time for money. So yeah, just find some way to make some money on the side that's not related to time. I think that'll go a long way. There's a weird thing out there where a lot of people assume that everyone wants to be a millionaire. I found that to not be true. A lot of people out there, you'd be surprised, they don't mind making just an extra like $1,000 or $2,000 on the side because that solves all of their basic needs. Not everyone wants to drive a Lamborghini. Not everyone wants a mansion. Not everyone wants to go on these lavish vacations. Not everyone wants this trophy wife or this badass like movie star husband. Not everyone wants the same thing. Some people are content making $1,000 on the side, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever. There's no reason to assume, that you can't have a great life. You can. One thing I think people should do, you get that side hustle, you get the thing working that makes you money without trading time for dollars. And then if you have a job that you don't like that much, you slowly back away from it. If you like the job, that's even better. It's a bonus. You get to work your full-time job and you get to have the side thing. But if you don't like the full-time job, you can slowly ease away from it. Nowadays, there's a lot of different ways to have employers let you work remotely, or there's so many things you can work out. But that third pillar is important, wealth. Focus on all three of those things. You are guaranteed to have a much better life. Now, sort of wrapping things up, pulling things all together, as I've said many times throughout this video, they work in harmony. They require balance. If your health is poor, and I've seen this before, people who have money, but they're not healthy, and it's like, if you aren't healthy, you can't really enjoy money that much. If you want to go on vacation, but you're too fat to fit in the plane, or if you want to go hang out with your kids, you have all the money in the world, but you're not in shape enough to really spend time with them, you're gasping, you're out of breath all the time, what's the point? What good does it do you? Now, like I said, money can fix that problem. There's liposuction, there's plastic surgery, there's a personal trainer, better diet, in-house chef. These things are all options. A lot of people don't exercise those options, which blows my mind. But the money in itself doesn't matter as much if you are overweight. Same with relationships. If you have all the money in the world and no one fucking likes you, what good's the money? What good's the money? What are you going to spend stuff only on yourself? You're going to be super selfish and buy a car that only you get to drive forever, and you get to drive with no one, and no one likes you anyway. So you're driving the car, everyone's like, look at this dickhead driving this car. What's the point? Like, honestly, think about that for a second. What's the point? Health. You're in peak physical condition, but you have no money, so you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, and you have no relationships, so you can't spend time with anybody anyway, and again, no one likes you, so what's the point of being in perfect shape? I guess you can be vain about it, but who cares? Like, you'd have to be super narcissistic or super solipsistic to be so vain that you don't care about anyone else not liking you at all, and you don't have any desire to make any money for any better experiences. That makes no sense. Relationships. You can be the most popular guy around. If you have no money and if you have no health, what good does it do you? You're the fattest dude at school, but no, you can't go anywhere. You can't hang out with your friends because you're too out of shape. You can't keep up with anybody. What good does it do you? They want to go on vacation. They want to go on trips. They want to have these events. You have no money. What good does it do you? Arguably, you could be so popular that everyone would just pay for you all the time. In theory, sure, that could work. If your health's not there, it doesn't make a difference. You can't do it anyway. And I guess if everyone paid for you, you could still enjoy fun events for free, but in real life, no one's gonna do all that. No one likes you that much, and they're gonna pay for everything for you. So all three of those things need to all be on point. You need to focus on all three of those things. Like I said, if you need to choose which order to do it in, health first, then relationships, then money. Focus on all three of those things. Your life will be so much better. The reason why, once those things are all tied in together, once those things are elite, and I'm not saying they have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfect. They just need to be good or better than good. Once they're good or better than good, then you get happy, because most of the stress, I think, in life comes from those three things being off. People feel lonely. Why do they feel lonely? They feel lonely because the relationships they have in their lives just aren't working out. They're in a group of people, but they don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they connect. You have good relationships, that problem's gone. That's less stress. People are always depressed. Why in the modern day? Because they feel like they can't afford stuff. Look on Instagram, they see people, taking these lavish vacations, these crazy trips. They're watching the Kardashians. Kardashians have these crazy cars and all these interesting adventures. Without money, you can't do that stuff. Now, if you had money, now I'm not saying you need to be a millionaire, and everyone's going to care about different things. So if you care about the Kardashians doing that, you might need to be a millionaire to keep up with the Kardashians. See what I did there? But it's true. Everyone's got a different standard, but you need to at least be trying to reach that standard. Once you reach your standard, you're going to find that you're a lot less stressed out. Like I said, for me, once I reach my low standard at least, I'm not that stressed out. I go out, I can spend money. I don't feel worried about it. I don't have to check my bank account every 2 seconds. Am I going to zero? I don't have to worry about that stuff as much now. It's fantastic. You'll be far more happier that way. Fitness, when I was younger, I used to be obese. Believe it or not. I had a lot of bad health problems. I couldn't do any push-ups. I used to be really fat. I was in Boy Scouts, I remember, and everyone, all the boys had to do push-ups. And I couldn't do any of them. I was the only guy that couldn't do any push-ups. And I remember just feeling awful. It was disgraceful. And no one really made fun of me for not being able to do push-ups. A lot of the boys in my troop were actually very supportive. But just internally, the fact that you can't keep up with your peers, especially when it's all boys, you're internally somewhat competitive. You're just like, I feel like shit. You just feel inadequate. It's not good. I would try to run and I'd also be like gasping for air. I remember in college, I was just really out of shape, and I did join the track team, and I was always the last person. Always the last person. I remember, and I had asthma, really bad asthma. And I remember everyone's running, and they're just leaving me in the dust. And it was so embarrassing because every 5 minutes I had to stop, pull out my inhaler, and like take a breath. And I remember quitting the track team actually because I was so disappointed. I was like, I can't keep up with anybody. Like, I'm literally the worst here. I'm the slowest person on the entire track team. And I'm not saying that like exaggerating. I literally was the slowest on the track team. I remember I had one meet. It's funny actually in hindsight. It wasn't funny at the time. I had one meet, and I used to be a sprinter. I don't know why they made me a sprinter. I was when I could run, I was fast, but the only problem is that my stamina was trash. So I was a sprinter, and I tried to sprint. And I remember my only meet that I was in, I tried to be fancy because I really wanted to win. I really wanted to prove myself. I tried to start off really fast, fell, like tripped immediately off the starting line, stumbled the entire way, and I think I finished the 100-meter dash with like 14 seconds. And I remember one guy saying, he was like, 14 seconds? That's pretty bad. That was his response. Like, that was pretty bad. And I quit because I was so like distraught. I was so hurt because I couldn't keep up. Health, super important. Nowadays, I'm in relatively good shape. I go to my doctor, and my doctor says, oh, you're one of the healthiest patients I've had. I got my blood work done a month or so ago. Super optimal levels in like all categories except like one. And the one I got it in was like, I think sodium was a little bit low because I don't eat salt that much, but you need some sodium. So I guess I have to eat more sodium. Not that bad, you know. Nowadays, I don't feel the same way as I did back then. I feel a lot healthier. I feel more energetic. As I'm recording this video, actually, it's late at night. I've been up since like 6. I'm alert. I'm good all day for the most part. I'm not saying I don't get tired. Obviously, you get tired eventually. You're human. But I will say that a lack of health is far worse than having health. So make sure all those things are together. Once those things are all together, you will certainly be a lot happier. And this leads into my final point. I know this has been a long video. I appreciate you sticking around for this. The final point that I want to make when it comes to happiness. A lot of people in the modern age think that they are entitled to just be happy. For one, I want to say, you're not biologically designed to be happy. You're biologically designed to survive. Survival does not equate to happiness. You're not happy when you're running from a fucking lion in the jungle because he's going to eat you and kill you. You're not happy doing that, but you have to do it because you have to survive. That is why you do it. You're not happy when you have a kid and your kid dies because he's malnourished or, you know, because there's disease or some kind of famine. You're not happy doing it, but you stay alive because you have to survive. That is what you're designed to do. You're not designed to be happy. You're designed to survive, to pass on your genes to the next generation so they can live, so they can do the exact same thing. That is it. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with being happy. I don't think the goal of being happy is a bad goal. I think it's a fantastic goal. I just don't like the idea of people thinking they're entitled to just be happy. And in the modern world, I feel like people chase happiness in the worst possible ways. Drugs, alcohol, sex, just overall hedonism is what people tend to go to nowadays. It won't make you happy. It'll make you joyful in the short run is what I call it, but it won't lead to true happiness. Now, how I define happiness is just a general positive state of mind. It's general contentness with life. You wake up, you might not be ecstatic, you might not be super, enthusiastic all day long, but you're not sad, you're not depressed. Your default state is up, if that makes sense. Things come your way, you might be upset for a little bit, you bounce back. Your default state is up. The other day, actually, literally like a day or two ago, because I consider myself to be a pretty happy guy by default, nowadays at least. I couldn't say that was always true, but I followed the 3 pillars, and now I would say I'm pretty happy for the most overall. I got Subway. They have these melts at Subway. I don't like them. I'm never going to get it again. They package it just in a really terrible way, and it's like it's melting, and the meat and the cheese all falls out. It's kind of like eating a taco almost. Have you ever experienced that? Where you're eating a taco, and then all the meat falls out, and you're like frustrated because you're really hoping to eat the meat and the good stuff in the shell or in the burrito or whatever, and it all falls out. So now you gotta like use a fork or scoop it with a spoon or just dig in there with your hands and eat that. It's not the same. So that happened with my Subway. I got Subway, it was like a melt, and I went to eat it, and all the meat fell out, and I was in my car eating it too, and it just stained my seats, just a huge mess. It was like all over the ground, like on the pasture side. It was just a mess. I wasn't very happy about that. And I was bitter for a good like 30 minutes. And then afterwards, I kind of forgot about it, and I was back to being normal, which was content with life and generally happy. But to me, that is by definition just being happy. Like the negative things that occur don't affect you that much. They sort of bounce off you, and you return back to your default setting. You get back to homeostasis, so to speak. On the other hand, I've seen people who I genuinely think these are unhappy, depressed people. I meet them and they're just angry at the world all the time. Everything they say is so fucking negative. Every little thing is so negative. You mention one thing that's supposed to be happy, that person's got it easy. That person's lucky. Wish I could catch a break. And it's just like, what are you talking about, man? Like, why are you so negative? So to me, that's a sign of an unhappy person. You don't want to be that person. When you follow the 3 pillars, you'll be happy. It'll be your default setting. You'll be so much better off by having that as your default. Trust me, there's a good book out there. I want to remember the name. I think it's called The Benefits of Happiness or something like that. The Power of Positivity, something along those lines. And basically, it's a scientific review of how being happy influences your decisions. And it allows you to make far better decisions in life. So if you're happy, your life improves and it creates a positive feedback loop. Because when you're happy, you do good things. When you do good things, you get happier, so on and so forth. It's an endless cycle. So you want to achieve those 3 pillars. You want to get them to better than normal. You want to get them to as optimal as possible. Like I said, they don't need to be perfect, but they need to be good, and if they get to good, make them better than good. Always constantly be trying to improve those. Once you get to happiness, then you get to flourishing, then you get to fulfillment. And I think fulfillment is sort of that point where life just feels good. I truly think that's what everyone wants. I don't know if everyone has identified that they want it, but I think everyone wants to be fulfilled in life. I think everyone wants to be flourishing. You need those things. You need those 3 pillars to kind of get to that point is what I'll say. And I'll end on that. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully that made sense. I know that was a bit of a long video, but I wanted to pack a lot of information into it. Like I said, each of these 3 things I've personally done. I was once out of shape, and a lot of people comment I'm in good shape. Currently, I'm not going to show you. I have 6-pack abs. I'm in good shape. I got my blood work done. My blood work's very good. Doctor says I'm healthy. I went from being obese to being in shape. Pillar number 1, health. Done. If you need help with that, let me know. I'm not a personal trainer, but I have some experience working out. I have some experience training other people and stuff like that. I think I can help you at least minimally to accomplish your goals. And if not, I know people that can help you. Pillar number 2, relationships. Like I said, back when I was in college, I experienced a point in time where I had no friends at all. And I had to go find new friends. I did so by developing my social skills. I'll recommend this really quick. One good book that'll help you out immediately, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I highly recommend you read that book. Read it multiple times. Don't just read it for the information. Read it for the practicality of it. Go out and practice exactly what the book says to do once you read each chapter. Do it. Trust me, you'll be far better off by doing those things. Pillar 2, relationships. Form better relationships. I went from having basically no friends, being very awkward, antisocial, unable to speak, nervous all the time, anxious. I'm on camera right now. I've been on this for like an hour or so. Trust me. Do it. Pillar number 2, relationships. Pillar number 3, money. I went from being basically broke. I'm not rich, but I'm doing well now. I'm happy with my current financial situation. Went from being in insane debt to working a 9-to-5, multiple 9-to-5, working at Walmart, movie theater, gas station. I did deliveries, suit store, American Eagle, you name it, I did it. Now I'm happy. Real estate, my business is kind of taking off right now. I'm doing well. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. You do all those 3 things. If you need help with any of those 3 things, contact me, reach out to me. I offer calls, I offer phone sessions. I'll help you work through each of these things. I'll help you find a plan that suits you to accomplish those 3 goals. You get those 3 things, you'll get happy. Once you get happy, you can be fulfilled in life. We all want fulfillment. Be fulfilled. You know you want it. That is the ultimate goal, to be fulfilled in life. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, refer this out to other people. My goal is to get a lot of people to think more and to have a lot of people experience the quote unquote good life. If you could share this video, that would be immensely helpful. Like I said, I think there's a lot of value in this video alone. So even if they don't want to do a call or anything like that, that's completely fine. I'm not gonna, hold a gun to your head and make you do that. The video, sharing that is enough. Sharing my other content is plenty. That would make me super happy. I think that would make them happy. Immense value there. Hope to see you in the next video. Hope you reach out. Feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram, email, text. It's out there. I've gone on long enough. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.